a lot just to do this, as in the photo here. Zach.
What is Wet My Beach?
Yes.
Medium Ziegler. George Greenlow and the were not wanting to receive
Can't even hear anything.
Here we go. $20,000 here. And Ernest, to do that, we have
There are a lot of people on.
Let's see what sort of just plan. Take me along. Take me to a walk. Take me to the fair.
Bob is on.
Take me to St. Louis.
Take me to St. Louis. Okay.
What's on?
Let's meet me at St. Louis. All right. Now, Ernest. Ernest, you can choose one of those or give us one of your own, think a better one. Why, it's up to you entirely. Take me to your leader, take me to St. Louis, and take me to the fair. What is your pleasure? I think I'll go along with take me to your leader. Take me to your leader? Maybe up there? Let's hope it is for his sake, and we see the $100 number. Take me to the moon. Okay. I know it, but they didn't know. It's reaching for it. Right. Maybe see the $250 number. Maybe you're there. What do you think? Take me to the ball game. There's no anarchy, please. Okay, Slider.
See, I don't know how to take the video. I don't want my picture there, but I don't know how to take it out. You gonna sit over here? We might move that there.
All right. Who's got it for you? Brett?
If you don't want your video on, just hit start video at the top.
I don't see that. Where do I see that?
Very top of the screen.
There's nothing there. It just has my picture.
So touch the screen. That's probably why. Touch the screen first.
Okay. Now what do I do? It says
Hit-
Zoom.
Hit
Leave.
start.
I'm sorry.
You see start video? Hit that.
I see stop video.
Yeah, that. Hit that. Yep.
Oh, good. Thank you. Are you there?
You're very welcome. Yep. I don't see you anymore.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Matt.
Thank you very much. I'm just learning.
You're welcome. Well, you did good.
Anyway, that's the rule. Zoom.
I have to turn this off. You know who it's showing you? What did he say his name was? That's right. I don't know how to work this.
There is only trust. I trust you. Each and every one of you.
Good job.
I don't want them to see us, so, you know.
Time to do the Lord's work.
These are the people that are watching.
Could everyone please make sure that their screen is, or their computer is muted?
You, you just put on mute, you can't hear what.
Zach, you're not muted. Can you mute yourself?
I'm muted.
Dominic, and B, would you be able to mute your computer?
I'll see if they have a, you know, another view of it.
We're not on. We're not on. We're not.
Oh,
on.
no, okay.
You hear me?
Excuse me.
Providing practical steps on how to be a godly influence in our society and how to take a stand for our faith in a culture aggressively opposed to the truth. There is hope for this present crisis if we act.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for coming to this meeting tonight. It's a 1 hour town hall meeting. I've held these before on a couple other topics in 2021 and thought this was appropriate to cover and have an open dialogue on this particular area, which is our waste removal in town. I'll open up with about 5 minutes or less of kind of the what and the why, and with a few comments just to frame in exactly where we are with this. And then we'll open it up to either questions or comments from the public. I do have Kim Humphrey, our business administrator, with us, and I think Biagio Cafone is our public works supervisors with us also. I'm sorry, and Tim Sexsmith, our council president. I'll field most of the questions or comments. If I need assistance from any of them on a more technical question, they can certainly jump in. But let me start with the what. What is the change that we're moving towards in the municipality? We are shifting our recycling from a weekly to a bi-weekly schedule. We are also opening up I'll call it our yard, an additional 8 hours and 2 extra days, so that people have more access to our yard. In the bulk area, we will be making some changes in bulk. We will be picking up on a schedule on Thursdays. Each home will have the ability to have their bulk out 6 times a year. And that schedule will be forthcoming. Also, we'll continue to accept appliances and electronics at the yard. And we'll make some accommodations for special pickup and special cases for appliances. We still have the stickers that we'll be utilizing for bulk going forward. And then in the area of the trash pickup, there's really no change in trash pickup at this time, and I don't foresee that happening. So why? Well, one of the reasons on the recycling change is our off-season volume is down between 40 and 45% in a normal year, and that's pretty much been the case the last couple of years. What that does for us is if we move to a bi-weekly schedule, we pick up at least 20 hours a week of freed up resources. What that does is it gives us the ability to train our DPW associates in other areas, and also gives us the ability to work on some projects that we continually have. And I'll give you some examples. We continually repair our lockers. We've brought that in-house because our vendors, it was more difficult to get vendors to do that. So we repair our lockers. We're looking at repairing the footbridge on Lake Terrace Avenue as an example. Our senior center, our recreation center, we continue to do repairs with that with our public works, and training and cross-training, particularly our younger DPW workers, is something that we've been wanting to try to do. On the recycling side, we'll also save some fuel and emissions and some other efficiencies. On the bulk side, this helps us get a real handle on bulk. Currently, we're mixing when we bring our garbage to the centers, we are mixing our bulk and our garbage, which is not a great practice. We've also seen a pretty significant increase in bulk in the last couple of years. We want to try to get a better handle on that. The changes we're making really have no public health or safety issues as we see it. It is an administrative responsibility to maximize the value to the residents, and that's what we're trying to do, is maximize value to the residents. So we're moving in that direction. We did do some benchmarking, and we tried to key in on the towns right around us, which are Avon, Spring Lake Heights, Manasquan, Neptune City, Neptune, and Seagirt. And all those communities do their recycling every other week. We clearly, as I said in some messages out, we're going to continue to assess this. Clearly, the summertime, we'll take a very close look right before the summer, assess how it's gone from February through May, and then we'll certainly adjust if appropriate. But we're not anywhere near that at this point. So that's the overall summary of
Mayor?
what. And yes, Kim.
I just wanted to let you know that our commercial Zoom account maxes out at 100 people, which you're at right now. So we have to make sure that people know, if people are trying to get in or people are trying to contact them, that we will post this on the website immediately.
Okay, recording, yeah. maybe, let's see, who can do that?
Okay. Do you want me to move so we can?
Kim, could you have somebody do that while we're having this meeting? Just put that email out or something? Okay, thank you. And Max, is it 100, you said?
That's correct.
Okay.
To increase.
Okay, so with that, we'll open it up to questions or comments. Jackson Temple. Jack, you've had your hand up for a while now. You're unmuted, Jack. Go ahead. Yeah, Jack. Why don't we go to the next person? Jack, we can't hear you,
Your
Jack.
device is on mute. Your volume might be down or your device is on mute. You are unmuted for the meeting, but your device or your volume is down.
Live audio, so. I have a quick question if we're waiting. I have a very quick question, Mr. Mayor.
Why don't we go to next person, Don Greenberg?
Hi, how you doing? Well, I have some technical issues with the recycling and one suggestion. Instead of taking the recycling down to once every 2 weeks, why don't you take trash down to once a week and then keep the recycling at once every other week? And my other comment on the technical aspects of this is that we're recycling actually more now because Mazda takes number 5 and foil. So people are putting more in their recycling buckets. This is going to create a hardship for people. And lastly, the buckets for the film get filled up in a month, let alone 2 months. It's going to be all over. I think this is going to create issues. You're going to see people throwing their recycling in their trash. Environmentally, I think you're going to see cans overflowing. You're going to see stuff ending up down at the beaches and the ocean. I think it's a bad idea. Plus, people are going to have to spend more money to buy more cans now. So those are my issues technically with it. But my big problem is the process. How come the public wasn't consulted?
Well, why don't we answer your first set of questions? By the way, I said, I don't know if I said this up front, but we'll limit each person to 5 minutes because we want to make sure we get as many people as possible. So let me try to zip through your first set of questions. We don't want to go to trash once a week versus twice because that could pose more of a public health issue than recycling. Recycling should not pose a public health issue. The film, we can certainly, we'll monitor that right up front and see if that causes any issues. And if it does, we'll increase the frequency of that. So those are the 2 points against that. So what was your other point?
So why wasn't the public made aware of this? I mean, you guys have had to know about this for a long time. It was on the calendars. So the calendars, we didn't send the calendars to a psychic printer and say, hey, think about what we want to put on here and just do it for us. It takes about a month for that process to go forth. So why wasn't this put on the council meeting? What else? How come the Environmental Commission didn't know about it? How come the council didn't know about it? It seems like we're doing things behind closed doors. And I did have a very nice conversation with Kim the other day, and she mentioned that you didn't know about it. Well, if you didn't, you should have, because you're the chief administrator of the town. So I think, and we have a communications director. How come she didn't know?
Yeah.
It seems like this was, and believe me, I love our DPW. I've lived in a lot of towns in my 65 years, and this is the best DPW that I've ever seen. So, I love Biagio and those guys, but from my conversation with Kim, it seems like, one person knew about this, Biagio. So I find that very hard to believe. that nobody else was in the loop on this, and that the public was completely excluded, not to mention most of the rest of the governing bodies of the town were completely excluded. I find that intolerable that this was done in this manner. And it seems to be a pattern in this town.
I would not say it's a pattern. I would take exception to that, Don, but in this case, you're right. The council wasn't informed, nor was I. Normally, in this case, I would handle this communication issue, I call it a personnel matter myself, particularly when it's a communication mistake and that doesn't really impact safety or financials or ethics or legality. Unfortunately, it has cast a little bit of a negative pall on our municipal government and to me. And I take accountability for that communication, but I have initiated a formal review of this matter with our HR professionals and our labor attorney. So we'll get the communications miss, we'll get the decision miss, and any recommended actions coming out of there. So
well, I would disagree.
I don't, let me finish, please.
Okay.
I don't believe that there was any ill intent. I'm confident we can clear this up pretty quickly. It's unfortunate that it came to this point, but that's where we are.
So, but that doesn't answer my question. Why wasn't the public notified? I don't see it as an HR problem. I see it as a communications problem from the town to the public.
Well, the public was notified in the calendar, but
after the fact.
Mayor, you can't disclose any more about the personnel issue. I'm sorry, it can't be discussed. I was not raised with notice, nor was Mr. Biagio.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is, it had to be known. So, why wouldn't you just come to the public and say, this is what we're thinking of doing?
Right.
Get some input from the
Don, I'm sorry that you're not hearing what I'm saying, but what I told you was that the council wasn't informed, nor was I. So that's the answer to that question.
Well, who knew about it and how long ago?
As Ms. Humphrey just said, I am getting to the bottom of that in a very formal manner.
Okay.
I feel as though I need to do it in a formal manner,
Right.
and that's what I'm doing.
So why don't we just put this on hold until you can get input from the public? This isn't an
Because
ordinance.
no, it's not that the decisions that the program that we're moving forward on isn't a bad program. It makes sense.
Well, that's a matter of
and-
opinion.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I don't know. I just think, delay it for 30 days, get some public input. It's not the end of the world if you delay it for 30 days and get some public input. And, there's 100 people on this and a lot more that couldn't get on. So, people are pissed, if you pardon my language.
Yeah. Well, and just another point, the calendar went to print on January 14th. So you said, we knew about this for months and months and months for that.
No, I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth, please. I said you knew about it for a while. And January 14th was prior to the council meeting, so it could have
Well,
been done.
no, well, actually now, Don, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said we knew about it for a while.
No, I said
didn't say that.
we knew about it for you knew about it for a while. That's what I said. But okay, but anyway, that's my suggestion.
Okay,
Get some public
thank you.
input, put it on hold.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Jack, can you talk now or no? If not, I'm going to move to the next person. If I don't
Please
hear your
speak with
voice.
Jack, just so you know, we're trying to get the participant number upgraded to allow everybody in the meeting. So if anyone has people texting them or contacting them, please let them know. We are working on getting an upgrade in the participant number.
Yeah, and we are recording this, so we're going to release it as soon as it comes on. As soon as we're done. Okay, Lenore? You can go off mute.
Okay, here. Home video. Right?
Yeah, hey there, Mayor Fox. This is Dan Cooperman. I'm on my wife's phone.
Okay. Hi, Dan,
Just
how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, this certainly was a surprise to me. I was wondering, is this a decision that can be reversed, or at least could you consider keeping the schedule as the normal schedule during the summer? So every week providing recycling.
That's a good question.
We grow kind of by 4x, right? During the summer, at least 4x.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and it's a question we've already kicked around that 9 months out of the year, our volume's down between 40 and 45%, which gave us the opportunity to free up those resources. You know, we believe that probably the Memorial Day to Labor Day is going to be different, and we probably increase that, but we're just trying to get started, take a look at it. So your point's well taken, and we have had some discussions just in the last few days on that very topic. So good question.
Got it. And just lastly, was this a financial motivation? You know, are we saving money by doing this? Was that the ultimate goal for kind of pursuing this, or what? I'm just confused on the catalyst.
Yeah. So as I said when I kicked off, recycling is an area where if we freed up over 20 hours a week of resources. What we're trying to do with those resources is cross-train them, because if you look at our public works guys that are on trash recycling and bulk, most of them are younger folks that are looking for training, cross-training, and to develop some other skills. So we're going to afford them that opportunity. Things like locker repair, redoing the footbridge, those projects I mentioned before. So it frees up resources for us. And additionally, there is some savings in fuel emissions when we're not doing that, and we're doing more projects with the overall group. So did we calculate to the dollar amount? No, we haven't, but we're looking at that as we go. So good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I definitely think if you could reconsider, at least in season, when our population does grow, that would allay a lot of the concern of the community.
No, that's
Sir?
thank you. It's a good question.
Sir, just so you know, we are not cutting any of the employees. So we will have the employees available that if there are any issues, and this is not by ordinance. So if this is something that we see on a Monday or a Tuesday, we need to up, the pickup. This is something that we can announce to the public, and we have that ability. It's right now utilizing the 20 hours a week for employees to do other tasks and jobs in the borough. And also we did increase the number of hours that the recycling yard is open for drop off as well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. That's a good point. Thank you, Kim.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Nancy Meadows was next up with her hand.
Yeah, thank you. Nancy?
Yes, thank you, Tim and Mr. Fox. To me, there are distinct separations to discuss here. One is the process of how this decision was made and who actually made it. And then it's how are we going to adjust to a new schedule? I agree with so much of what Mr. Greenberg said. This is so unique. And it's not a matter of legal. There was a person who said, fine, do this. And now I'm hearing, oh, but we didn't know. But then he said, but we've been kicking the idea around. You knew.
No, what
And
I said,
that,
Ms. Meadows, is I
again,
said, what I said was.
Excuse me, this is my time to speak.
Well,
Once
no,
again,
this is a town, excuse me, this is a town hall meeting, so I'm just trying to
from the
clarify. a point that you
courtesy
made.
of being informed is another pattern and another slap in the face. Regarding
So-
personnel and developing their skills for something else, or having them do something, don't use the lockers as an excuse. That's part of the beach utility. That has nothing to do with the regular municipal garbage budget. I would also agree, quite honestly, with this film ridiculousness, of which I was only allowed one can, God forbid, but others were used to hold up plastic at the beach. I fill mine up in 1 week. So quite honestly, the rest of my plastic just goes in with the rest of my garbage.
Well, we'll make
And
it
I
a point
do
to get
think
you
it
another
would be
bucket.
wise to have the old current schedule for the summer when our population gets out of hand. Because you cannot expect homeowners who are only here on a weekend or visit for the weekend to only put the recyclables out twice a month. And that's the other thing. You need to really clarify. Bi-weekly, twice a week, every other week. Some of us are a little type A and like to mark our calendars accordingly. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand this. And again, had the public been consulted or even informed as opposed to a calendar. Well, actually, I was informed by the BA, so maybe I'm a little different, but it just adds to confusion and the fact that we are actually having to spend time dealing with this. You can't blame it all on Public Works, okay? They didn't just on their own decide this. And for once, it would be really nice for the government to take responsibility for the way they treat the taxpayers.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Meadows. I just want to
Meadow.
clarify.
It's singular,
I said Ms. Meadows.
correct, and that is incorrect.
Okay, I'm sorry. As I said, I just wanted to clarify a point. The point that about the last couple of days was that we were talking about the summer months. We were having a conversation about that. Clearly the responsibility is with the government and myself. And as I said, we are looking at the communications, the decisions, and the recommended actions formally so that we get a very clear path as to where we're going with it. So thank you. Why don't we go to Thomas? Thomas's iPad. Whoever that is.
Yeah, hello, I was on mute, thank you. Maybe a comment and then a question. I'm somewhat new to the process. I'm somewhat new to Bradley. And I really, I'm gonna reflect that I really admire the passion for all of us who want to contribute to keep our town beautiful and clean and participate in recycling. It's a wonderful thing. And really that we have our system underway is fantastic. And I believe it works. A quick question, and then I really do have two others. If we exceed this pale limit, whatever it can hold for the film, do we retain the ability to go to the town? I'm going to call it a dump, sorry, the site, and drop it off ourselves rather than having to wait for the town to come and pick it up?
I'm going to defer that to Biagio, but I think the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so terrific, okay. The others are maybe for you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start with the perhaps more complicated one, the bulk part of this discussion.
Yeah.
The bulk pickup. I'm not terribly familiar with it, but I have had the opportunity to drop some items off at the town center. Is
Right.
there any change to that part of the system?
Yes, but that's not going to happen until the March timeframe, and we're going to send out a pretty formal newsletter and website deal on that. We're moving towards pickup. There will be some bulk that can be dropped off, appliances and electronics, but we're trying to move away from the level that we are. The activity, the way it's happening right now is just, it's not as organized as we like it to be. So we'll get a complete outline of what is and isn't coming up here in the next few weeks.
Okay, I just want to say I'm a huge advocate of having that resource. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's been a great resource to be able to take some debris out of our house or our yard and drop it off there. And it's been very accommodating. I know there are several, there's the organic debris. There's of course the recycling debris. And then there's if you have to drop off a chair or a piece of furniture or a carpet. It's just been a terrific resource to have the ability to do that. And usually there hasn't been any costs associated for the residents who choose to do that.
Minimum taxes.
Is that correct? I mean, it's specific fee. Is that
Well,
going
we
to
have
continue?
stickers, we do have stickers,
Well, that's for the
that-
pickup, I
for
recall.
the pickup,
For
yeah,
the pickup.
yeah.
This
And-
is for the
and that-
drop off.
And that'll, and again, we're gonna outline that and change that somewhat. And again, that'll be part of the, what we outline going forward.
Okay, so, and then my last question was, is there a timeline for all this? Because I'm not familiar with the timeline for these changes.
Yeah, it's on the website for recycling. It's starting,
Okay.
next week. And, for the bulk, it's not until a March timeframe. And we've got more detailed communication coming out on that.
Okay, and that
Mayor?
currently is on the website. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Biagio was trying to speak and he could not unmute. I also want to let the public know we're just awaiting Zoom to approve our upgrade. It's in the process. So in a few minutes, everyone should be allowed in that's in the waiting room or unable to log on.
Okay, Biagio, I don't see you here. So can you just start talking? Where is Biagio? Do we lose him, Kim?
He's still muted. Biagio, you're still on mute.
Can we go on to somebody else before the time's up?
Yeah, sure. Biagio, get yourself off mute and
He seems to have dropped off. He may be having some manner of
yeah,
technical issues, but
yeah. Kristen Depp. Kristen, you gotta, yeah, there you
Hi,
go.
hi. Actually, this is Kristen Mahoney. I'm at Kristen Depp's house, so we could be on this call. I just wanted to ask about, I know we were just talking about it, but I think it's imperative that we start to outline what's going to happen with the bulk pickup, so that we're not just given a calendar telling us what is going to happen with regard to the bulk pickup. It seems like, you know, we can take appliances and metal to the yard, but bulk pickup is kind of up in the air what'll happen. And we can start using perhaps only stickers to get our bulk pickup done, which is a revenue source, as opposed to having the ability to take bulk items and bring them to the yard, even though the yard is going to be open. Which is great for the town to have that revenue stream and an inconvenience for the rest of us who live here and pay taxes and would like to use our cars to bring things to the yard and drop them off. Can you explain to me, first of all, why we are not yet clear on what's going to happen, or why we're talking about the need for residents to purchase stickers to bring things to a dump that's already, or to a recycling center that's already open and is going to be open for a longer amount of time, as opposed, you know, to just, you know, why we have to do that at this point?
Yeah, I think, so to your first, I guess the overall question, we will have a detailed communication out in the March timeframe when before we implement, and probably before March, so that when we implement, everybody's clear on what's what. You know, I think that's kind of the best answer I can give right now, is that rather than kind of go back and forth, I'd rather get it out on paper to people so that they clearly understand what it is. I don't know, Kim, if you have anything to add to that. You're on mute, Kim.
I'm trying to find out if our numbers are increased. Biagio is on the phone with me. If there's anything that he has to answer, sorry.
No, that's fine at this point. So we'll get that out, Kristen. Thank you.
I just would like the council and you, the mayor, and Kim to understand that my thought of having to pay to have someone pick up bulk and our streets looking every once in a while like a garbage dump because we need people to come pick up our bulk every once in a while, as opposed to the ability to, for free, go up and dump our large items at the recycling center is a big concern. And I think it's a big concern for a lot of people. And I know that you've unitarily come out with this new calendar. It would be nice if there could be a conversation about it, and, you know, you could take things into account. You know, another communication made without having conversation is not going to help anybody, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Paul Nishampkin. How you doing, Paul?
Actually, Jack Gentempo is before me. He's been up for quite a while.
No, I know, but I'm waiting for Jack Jack, are you, can we hear you now?
Okay. Understand.
That's why we've been waiting. I've been waiting for Jack.
Thank
As soon as I hear Jack, he'll be next up.
I was one of the many people who couldn't get on for a long time because you had a 100-person maximum. So I'm sorry if I missed this question already, but why was there no public discussion of this before the decision was made?
Yeah, I did cover that, Paul, and in this case, you're absolutely correct. There wasn't public discussion, and we're going through an exercise right now to understand exactly how all that happened.
Well, obviously, you know, this is the cart before the horse. This is really not a good sign, Mayor. This is a very critical element for our town. We've been working so hard to make sure that we cut down on plastics getting on our beach, to do recycling properly. And I mean, I can't understand why such a measure would be taken and announced in this manner on a calendar that was prepared months ago. And obviously you knew there would be a reaction. I just don't understand what your thinking was. I'm really concerned also with the bulk items. I think that, you know, it was absolutely terrific when you opened up the recycling yard so that we could bring in our own bulk items. That really helped a lot. I was shocked when I moved to this town 18 years ago that you charge sticker prices for bulk items. I mean, I've never in my life, I've been in New Jersey for over 40 years, and I've never seen that in any other town. I can't believe
the town I came from, we had it.
Well, I don't know. This is really crazy. I mean, you know, this is not the way to do business. It obviously never really worked. It never generated you a real revenue stream, and you should really rethink it. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Dave Critelli. Dave?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that we should look at. One, I agree with most of the people that have spoken about our public works, and G and Pat and JR and the rest of them have done phenomenal jobs. My biggest concern is that during the summer months, especially the holiday times, not picking up is going to create a potential varmint problem. I mean, we have neighbors that put out 2, 3, 4, you know, cans, you know, after a party. I think that should be rethought. As far as the bulk processing, I think that's has been going on. If we've got to pay for it, we've got to pay for it. But as we all know, we all pay pretty good taxes in this town. I just want to see the best thing for the town here.
Yep. Yeah, and Dave, thanks for that question. You know, the recycling yard is open. We've expanded those hours. We are going to assess the summer. I think it's a valid point. And as I said before, that's something, it's one of the first things we said we have to really take a close look at that because, we anticipate that's probably something we'll have to adjust some of those resources. As Kim said, we're not cutting anybody back. We're just trying to redeploy some resources and get some people trained better so we can make some more improvements in town. All your points are well taken. I appreciate the input.
I have one other point.
Sure.
Now that the state has reduced and gone down on Omicron and everything else, I think it's time that we get back to face-to-face.
Yep.
And being in a town meeting rather than 150 people on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, so we had committed to do this January, February because of Omicron, and we're very optimistic we're gonna be able to move away from Zoom here pretty soon. So appreciate that input. Okay.
Marjorie
Sarah,
McAllister.
Sarah.
I was going to say Marjorie McAllister was up next.
Okay, I'll get Sarah and then I'll get Marjorie.
Also, please know that there's Chapman, Sanders Chapman has his hand up for
Yes.
the entire meeting.
Thank you, Kim. I was gonna say the same
apologize.
thing.
I apologize. I don't know how to put the symbol up on the screen.
Okay. All right. So we'll get, I lost Sarah. Sanders, why don't you go and then we'll hit Sarah, then we'll hit the third person and we'll go. Sorry, I've got.
I apologize if I jumped in front of somebody, but Mayor, frankly, I'm a little bit flabbergasted that you say you must look into how this idea got generated and done essentially without the council knowing, without a number of people in the government knowing. And we're sitting here tonight and there's no explanation. There's no who did what to whom when. I find that, to say the least, disappointing. Secondly, and I'll try to be brief,
Sure.
I second the comments of many that came before me. Certainly you just heard about the manner in which this was done. The having us now to pay to bring things to the recycling center, I think is a terrible decision on behalf of the town. Many of us, myself included, and in the summer, I'm there from the middle of May through the end of September or October. And in the winter, 3 days a week, 4 days a week at a time, back and forth to our home up north. And I love this town. I've been there for 70 years, 75 actually. But it was a luxury to be able to take the stuff to the recycling center, not wait for the bulk, not wait for it to be picked up and not have to pay for it. We do pay a lot in taxes. And I admire the job that the Department of Public Works does to no end. But I think it's terrible. And to say you're redeploying resources, let's call a spade a spade. You're saving money somehow.
Hello?
It's totally an economic decision. And I appreciate the patina you've tried to put on that it's a redeployment of resources. And it may be, but it's economic and it's really very unfair.
Well, I would say not economic from the standpoint of saving dollars. What we're striving to do is increase value, and the value being, can we do more with those resources and get more done to improve the community? So as Kim said, we're not cutting anybody back. So we're not saving dollars that way. We may save some dollars on fuel and truck maintenance and stuff like that, but not, this isn't a move to save a bunch of money. It's really more of a value.
Not to belabor the point, but effectively what you're doing is you're getting people in your employees in town to do other things rather than do the recycling. And therefore they're accomplishing tasks which, if you wanted them done, would have to be done either with an independent contractor to cost the town money or with other resources in town. So in effect, you are, but okay.
Okay,
That's
All
not,
right.
that's not the worst part of this.
okay, thank you. Appreciate your input.
Mayor,
So, yeah,
would it be possible that if someone has already spoken to log off to allow other people in the waiting room in? And it will also be posted, the rest of this meeting will be posted on the website. We did upgrade with Zoom, so everyone does know. We're just not sure why it hasn't taken effect. We sent in for an upgrade and it's not registering, and we should have had the capability of 300 people and it's not allowing us. And they're not answering their phone.
To further assist the town, I'll be the first to sign off.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's either Sarah Strasser or Tim, I can't remember the name of the other person you said.
You said Sarah and then Marjorie McAllister.
Got
after
it,
Sarah.
okay. All right, okay, so Sarah, then Marjorie. Thank you. Sarah, where are you? There you are. Sarah, you gotta go off mute.
As part of the,
Sarah, you got, thank you, Sarah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, sorry. I just have a couple of questions and a few
Sure.
comments. Okay,
Sure.
so first of all, half the town hasn't received a calendar. Half the town has not received a calendar, myself included, my mother's friends. So nobody knew about it until I saw an email go around. That's
Okay.
number one.
Okay,
Number two, the website, some older people in this town don't know how to use a computer. The website, even for myself, whom I'm on a computer all day long, is very unuser friendly.
okay,
Number two.
got it.
So it would be hard for someone to find it if they're not resourceful. Number three, I think we can gather that everyone in the town is upset, that everyone's repeating the same thing. They feel that they've been undercut and this was done behind their backs. They pay taxes, I pay taxes. So probably the best thing to do is to maybe try to push this off for a bit to find out what really happened, get to the bottom of it before other things happen within the town, because this town is known for all the troubles that they have. Number three. Next thing is, if you need to use the personnel for other things, then why don't we go back to having Mazda or Delissa pick up the garbage and the recycling and pay for it so that we don't have this problem. And the next thing is, we're now going to be, if we have to go to this bi-monthly, every 2 weeks, that means we have to buy new garbage cans again after the atrocity we had a few years ago before you were mayor about the garbage cans having to be small and everyone had to buy new garbage cans. Now we'll have to all buy new garbage cans, multiple garbage cans. Then if this is how the town wants to do it, they should provide the garbage cans.
Okay, got it. Got it.
And so you see what I'm saying? There's lack of communication all the way down. No calendars, no information. If you can't use a computer, I mean, I can use a computer. It's a problem. And people feel like that.
Yep. Okay, I appreciate it, Sarah.
Okay.
Thank you. Marjorie.
Mayor, it seems
Yes.
as though we would have to restart. I don't know if you can extend the meeting or not. You could log off at the log off time or not. I don't know if somebody can ask. But if we get back on, I would let whoever is ready to speak. But if we open up the session again, the people that are waiting will be allowed in. But I would say stay as it is now. And I just to let you know, there is a chance that when this is over, if we log back in, there might be a chance that people can speak that weren't able to get on.
Okay, so why don't we take Marjorie's question and then we can, so your recommendation is log off and log back on quickly.
I would actually wait till everyone that's on can speak, and then if everyone on has spoken, that we see if we can restart it if people would want to dial back in.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Marjorie, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not Marjorie. She's my wife. I'm Bob McAllister. And first, a comment, Mayor. The changing the recycling schedule is a significant inconvenience for people in the town, as you're hearing. And to me, it's a significant reduction in services to the taxpayers. And in light of that, and in light of all of our desires to promote recycling and try to help the environment however we can, your rationale for doing it, frankly, sounds pretty soft. Redeploying workers. If you were to tell me, oh, we're going to be able to reduce staff by X, and that's going to save us this much, and it's going to mean taxes are not going to increase as much, that's pretty persuasive. But saying, oh, we'll take some people here and we'll put them over there. And, as the gentleman earlier said, yeah, if they're not put over there, then you're going to have to hire somebody else to do it. You could quantify it that way. But based upon what you've said so far, I don't really find it very persuasive. It feels to me like a decision was made. You weren't involved. Council wasn't involved. And now we're trying to come up with a rationale for this decision.
So the rationale on the decision, and I'll repeat it, that it frees up about 80 hours a month for cross-training for other projects. So there was a rationale. That's always, my understanding is that rationale has always been there. The other rationale is that we do, during at least 9 months out of the year, underutilize resources because our off-season recycling, by and large, is down 40 to 45%. So, we can say what's soft and what's hard here, but I put a lot of value in getting people cross-trained. I put a lot of value in progressive projects that when you think about the projects we worked on last year with Public Works, things like redoing our promenade, the boardwalk part of the promenade, the horseshoe, redoing some of the sidewalks like on Lake Terrace Drive. There's a number of projects like that we want to continue to try to do, and 80 hours a month of additional resources isn't small. So we can debate whether that's large or small. To me, that's a pretty significant resource, and we want to be able to train our newer employees and our younger employees so that they can do multiple things for us going forward. And right now, we don't have the ability to do that because we're tight with resources right now.
Okay.
So I'm not arguing your point to say you're necessarily wrong. I'm just trying to give you our point of view.
Okay. Yeah, because you do have to weigh it against the inconvenience to the taxpayers, the feeling that our services are being reduced. So the other item that I wanted to mention was with respect to the bulk.
Yep.
What in essence, what you're saying is you're going to limit what can be brought to the yard and require that it be put on the curb and have stickers. So is that what we're doing? Is we're going to take some of our DPW employees who are now doing the recycling collection and having them pick up these items, which currently, Mayor, excuse me. Yeah, which currently people are bringing to the dump.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have employees picking up those. So is that how you plan to redeploy resources?
No, right now, today, we have our employees picking up bulk as we speak. That happens all over town, and it's on your trash day. I could effectively today put out bulk 104 times a year. I could do that. Now, what we're finding is we're mixing that with our regular trash collection. So as they collect trash, they're also collecting bulk. The feedback that we've gotten is that's not really effective and efficient. That's not the best way to approach it. So that's the kind of the recommendation that, and what went into the thought process to get this in a more systemic manner. Right now, too, when we go to the to dispose of our waste, we estimate what that is to the yard that we bring it into. And the cost of the waste for bulk's about $130 a ton versus household waste of $85 versus recycling of about $78. So we estimate that, and it's really not accurate. And it's, you know, it's something we should be doing a better job of in how we manage it. So
I'm sorry, did I understand you to say that currently the trucks are combining the trash with the bulk?
Yes. And that won't be the case in the future.
So what does that have to do with people bringing things to the dump to drop off? I don't see the connection.
No, I'm saying that we're trying to get a more organized, systemic approach for pickups of bulk. That's what I was saying. I'm sorry.
Okay. Look, I am with those who have spoken, who have said that we don't like the way this decision was made. We don't like the way it was communicated. And in light of all that, we ought to put it on hold until this gets sorted out and the people of Bradley Beach get comfortable with what you're proposing to do.
Okay, thanks for your input. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, we've got Mr. Cohen up next and then Ms. Lukenda.
Yeah, thank you.
612 Third Avenue. I just am very upset about the fact that we elected officials who are our voice as councilmen. They were not involved in the formulating of this policy, and they are not at this meeting tonight. And that is my issue. I appreciate all the comments everyone made, but to keep the council out of this process and not include them in this meeting is a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. Under NJSA 10:4-11, no person or public body shall fail to invite a portion of its members to a meeting for the purpose of circumventing the provisions of this act. This is an improper meeting because our full council isn't here, because the administration did not properly notice so that they could attend. And that's, again, another administrative failure after another administrative failure. And I appreciate everyone's comments, but this is an improper meeting in my mind, and we'll take this up in another jurisdiction. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
If I could just interrupt for a moment. Mr. Giantempo emailed me his comments. He waited for a long time, so I'd like to read them if I could, and then go to Ms. Lukenda. So from Mr. Giantempo, it's a tough recycling market, very tricky, few shipping containers available, and some countries are being problematic. Mr. Cafone knows the problems and understands the market, which after all is what it is, a market that goes up and down. Mr. Cafone has the expertise. I'm sticking with his recommendations, Jack Giantempo.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Giantempo. I wish we could have got your voice on there. Thank you. Ari.
I'm sorry, it's Cindy Lukenda.
Hi, Mayor Fox. I don't want to beleaguer all the points everybody made because we all feel the same way, that we're obviously somehow paying taxes, evidently more taxes each year, and now, you know, we're mysteriously getting our services reduced. My biggest question on all of this is, and everybody's asked you 7 ways to Sunday, and I know it's not easy being a public official with something that's a hot topic, but what is really truly stopping you from just tabling the decision, whether it was made yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, whether it was before something was printed? You have your entire constituency not happy with something that may or may not be able to be changed. But until the transparency is given, why can you, or why are you refusing not to just table this decision and say, you know what, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we didn't have the proper communication. Let's just all sit back and relax a second. Let me take 30 days, find out what I need to do, and then let's come together as a group and do what's best for the whole community.
Relative to the point I made about the decision-making process, we'll have an after action answer on that in a pretty thorough, formalized answer. You know, the details of that to both understand.
Mr. Mayor, you're breaking up. Sorry to interrupt, but you're breaking up, Mr. Mayor.
Looking at what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. I'm sorry?
I said you're breaking up, Mr. Mayor. Your voice is breaking up. It's very difficult to hear you.
Your Wi-Fi connection is going.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I think on the what happened and why it happened, we'll have an answer on that within a matter of a few days, 3 to 4 days. In the context of what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, I'm certain down appropriate, you know, we did benchmark other communities, and community around us does what we're proposing to do. Avon, Spring Lake Heights, Manasquan, Neptune City, Neptune, and Seagirt. We get some value out of this. That change. But we believe right now that it's the right change to make. I don't think we've given it maybe the opportunity to see if it works well. I said when this change was announced, or right shortly thereafter, we'll certainly continue to look at it and we'll make adjustments as is appropriate. So we're not adverse to making a change. We're not adverse to revising parts of this process. Nothing that I've seen operationally to me doesn't make a reasonable amount of sense. Clearly, we've gotten feedback, and we're going to take that feedback and we're going to dial that into a discussion in the next few days. But I want to do that with the appropriate administrative folks that are responsible for this. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, I thank you for that. But however, it's still, you know, the situation that everything you want to do after the fact to perhaps put a Band-Aid back on to a wound that you've ripped open. Why can you just not say, listen, I'm hearing at what you're all saying now. Let me go do my research. We'll come back March 1st with all the information. You've all come through and said, hey, we thought ABC would work, but with everything we've seen, maybe just B is the answer. And then get the buy-in, and then you're not having to backpedal or to change or go left or right or worry about bringing services back up in the summer, which we know we're going to need because of the population growth. We're just all trying to understand, why can you just not put the pause button for 30 days? Let alone it's February, there's not even 30 days in it. You can have less time. I think that would make everybody a whole lot happier just to understand and be part of the process.
Yep. And was that Alethea still speaking, or?
No, that was Cindy Lukenda. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Cindy.
You're very welcome, sir.
Ari Bleck is up next, and then Tom McGuire, Mr. Mayor.
No, I think Ari just, Alethea just spoke. I think it was that.
No, that was Ms. Lukenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was Alethea. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So a few quick things that are, I think, a little different than what people have said. The first is, if you're telling me that recycling, you know, that the volume is only 40% of what it is in the summer, in some ways, that's not a very relevant metric, because you're talking about the people who live here and what our needs are. So as part of the process, I could tell you, I know someone mentioned also that we're willing to give. And if it means trash only once a week, and then you said we view that as a public safety hazard. If you ask the people in this town, I know you live here as well, I always have an overflowing recycling. We're in the age of Amazon. You're talking about no place to put, you know, the boxes, the cans, the bottles. My recycling is always full. My garbage is usually not. Very simply, I have this need. It doesn't need to be rolled out. There could be a poll. I imagine I'm fairly representative, and we're a 2-person household. And we have the need for the current schedule. And if anything, like, that's not enough. So what are we supposed to do? Obviously, also, it doesn't help the environment if we all then drive, fill our, you know, cars up with an extra bag of bottles and drop it off or whatever. I understand it saves the, you know, the trucks, but it also just, you know, it's actually surprising if you're saying it's only 40% of the volume, then, and we're a quarter of the people, like something is not tracking, or the people who live here full time have more recycling. I can't explain it, but I don't understand what I do on a weekly basis. Where is all that going to go? How is that not going to be ugly? Are we requiring seniors and people who don't have money to now buy multiple extra garbage cans, as was brought up? It just strikes me as a terrible idea. Before rolling it out, I know that I have the need for the current schedule, and I imagine the other full-time residents do as well. That's sort of a long part one. And then the part two is, how are you gauging this? What is the, aside from, you know, like the hours and how successfully they learn or do other things, but how are you gauging this? Are we looking at, do the streets get less clean? Are we looking at how inconvenienced the residents are? Like, I really don't understand as a practical matter what each family is supposed to do. Because it seems to me there's no way to avoid requiring the family to drive to the dump at least once a week and things we didn't need to do.
Okay, very good. I appreciate the feedback, Ari. And, you know, clearly, when you talk about metrics, we will, you know, in public, one of the things Public Works does a pretty good job of is keeping an eye on what's working and what's not. And if we see elements of this that aren't working, we'd certainly make adjustments quickly. So, you know, one that's already come up is the film waste, you know, the film waste. So we'll look at that, and we'll continue to talk through this and talk through this feedback. Thank you.
Okay, Tom McGuire was up next, and then Dave Critelli's got his hand up, but he already took a bite at the apple. So I don't know if we want to, at that point, go to try and log out and log in to see if there's more folks that want to talk.
Yeah, why don't we hit Tom, and then we'll log out, log in.
Hi, how you doing? I'm pretty upset. I'm upset just because I've been, for the past 45 minutes, just trying even to get into the meeting and just listening to people. So I honestly don't know everything. I had to listen through a Facebook Live. I really wish Biagio was here so he can answer some more questions, because there's a lot about the metrics and about what's happening. And I honestly don't feel, Mr. Mayor, you've answered any questions well. I don't think you've satisfied anyone's needs and desires for what's going on. There's a lot of wills, should have, could haves.
Mr. McGuire, I'm here, by the way.
Oh, great. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I knew you got kicked off. So the 3 to 4 days a week, 3 to 4 days on the what and why is very concerning. The fact that you don't already have that information on why you made a decision prior to the calendar being printed is, how don't you have that information? You can't tell us right now. You should be able to have that information if you already came up with the information.
What information are you looking for, Mr. McGuire?
You just said that you're going to take 3 to 4 days to give out the information on the what and why and come out with the more about communication.
No. I said that there was some issues with the process of how, you know, the question that has come up is how this decision was made. And I initiated a formal review of that with our HR and labor attorney to say, let's get very clear on how this decision was made, what the communications were, and recommended action. So that's what I said will be 3 to 4 days.
So that's exactly what I just said, that we still don't have a clear-cut answer on why and what, and that it has to go through. I understand there's possible formalities but the fact that you still
Well,
can't give
well,
those
no,
answers
you know,
is
I have
concerning.
a pretty good idea of what happened, but because there's such a set of questions saying who knew what when, I'm not gonna speculate and say, you know, I'm fairly certain of I knew what happened, but I'd
I
rather,
hope so. You're the
I'd
mayor.
I'd rather formalize it and
Mayor,
ensure
I
that-
can actually speak to it since it involves me and you don't have to then break any laws. Being that there was miscommunication without the mayor and council knowing, if there's any reprimands that are coming down the pike, that will happen for the miscommunication and the information not getting to the mayor and council prior to the residents. And that goes for any other employee that's involved with what happened here. I think that's one issue. The issue with the reasoning why it was done, that's a different thing. That's different. That would be more G, and I could answer those probably better.
Thank you. I just have a few more things to go over. As far as, what was it? The cross, you said that you're going to free up 80 hours per month, and you're going to be, is that approximately 20 hours per week for cross training? Can you give more specifics on that? I know you said, is that just, I mean,
We do a
I know
lot
I'm
of
gonna-
projects, Mr. McGuire, in
mean that-
town. We do a lot of projects. If you guys have noticed, we redid the boardwalk.
And it looks great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We have a footbridge that separates Bradley Beach from Ocean Grove, which would be Neptune. We're gonna redo that. We're gonna be the lead agency on that. We're working on the rec center, saving the borough a lot of money with the manpower that we currently have in-house. We have to do work in Borough Hall. We have to make a finance office. We have to make the new business administrator office. So we have a lot of stuff, and I like to keep the tradition of the public works that I feel that I'm a part of building. And if the small thing we have to give back is the recycling in the off season for now, I think that I can rely on my residents to stand behind us on that. If Manasquan could do it, if Spring Lake can do it, why can't we do it?
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And I think, honestly, everyone on this call would appreciate that and agree with that if they were told. And
Now, listen, that you're
yeah,
right.
that's
And
it.
I
You know,
play a big
and I-
part of
'cause
that.
my wife and I
big
have
part of
said that. We said, like, if we would have known, and we probably would have said, great, this is a great idea. We can get more things done. We appreciate everything that you do. You're doing such a, we get so many compliments, even in my office, on how good the Department of Public Works is.
Thank
And
you.
I say it all the time. We have the cleanest, nicest, it's great. I just feel this just could have been done.
And I gotta be honest, my mayor's taking a beating for this tonight, and it's really, and this has got nothing to do with him. I owe him nothing. I've been there 26 years. I think I got more clout than he has. I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, this had nothing to do with my mayor. I should have got it out quicker. I've been thinking about it for 3 years. So everybody blame me, but this is something I feel that will help the community now and in the future, because we want to make sure we build the men that we have to doing projects, so we don't have to contract work out and pay 6-7 times the amount of money that we should.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thank you so much,
you done?
Biagio.
No
I'm
problem, Mr.
done.
McGuire.
My wife is going to talk now because she just can't get on.
So I appreciate that. And yes, had this been a workshop prior, I would have
Sorry,
been.
Bridget, your name? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Brigitte McGuire. I would have been totally for it. I mean, 100%. The issue here, I'd like to direct right to Mayor Fox. If this was DPW's decision, if it was DPW's fault, if it was Kim's fault, it is the job of the mayor to take the input of the people of the town, especially after days of people on social media basically begging for answers. I absolutely love living in this town for the past 12 years. There's nothing I desire more than living a happy, joyful life in a small shore town. A community that can smile, be kind and respectful regardless of differences is a pretty magical thing. In this past year, Mayor, observing your body language and watching your actions, it is as if you hold a disdain for the residents of this town. It is as if you just hear voices speak, but you do not listen or take in the input while you just put forth your own thoughts and
You
policies.
froze.
We are not a private company to manage. We are the people of Bradley Beach who seem like very decent adults who probably would have been fine trying out winter of changing the recycling schedule, as I said, had we had the ability to share during a workshop and been asked our input as respectable taxpayers. I want to be asked to share my thoughts based on something as basic as recycling in a beach town. I would like to be heard with respect and empathy and would expect that from an elected leader. I don't want to walk these blocks with a sour taste in my mouth because of chaos regarding recycling rules being put forth like a king. I feel this town hall is just damage control to let us think our voices matter while we all let it out, and you will be on your merry way doing what you want because it's the pattern you have created for me to expect in this past year. I hope this is not the case. I hope you're willing to table this. It's a new year. Instead, I'd love to greet you, Mayor, on the boardwalk with a smile, appreciating you for your empathy to each and every resident, thanking you for your actions based on true democracy and shaking your hand for the service you offer to Bradley Beach. I really, really hope you're going to back up and start over from scratch at this point. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Is this a good time to try this sign off, sign on, Kim, or we're actually
I would
over
just
time?
continue to let people speak at this point. I'm afraid that if Zoom didn't correct anything, that we would just lose people.
I think we only have one more person, Noreen. Why don't we wrap
Well,
it up with Noreen?
It's Noreen, and then there's Louise Millman and Kim Baker are all on, and then Dave Critelli and Cindy Lukenda, as I said, have each had a bite at the apple.
Okay, so why don't we, that was 5 people, Tim?
There's Noreen who's getting ready to speak. Then there's Louise Millman and Kim Baker. That's it.
Okay, why don't we hear from those 3 and then we're already over time.
Okay, I'll just jump in. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor, and thanks to my neighbors as well for everyone gathering. I really just put my hand up after Thomas McGuire just spoke because I wanted to pick up on something he said, which was, Biagio, as you shared, you mentioned that you guys are talking about this being potentially an off-season thing. That's been my question from the very beginning, and I was not able to get into the beginning of the meeting, so it might have been addressed. So if it is an off-season thing, I personally am more amenable to that experiment. So that's something I'd love to know, whether that's a different.
Yeah, so yeah, I tried to cover that up front, Noreen, and let me say that. So a couple things. First, I don't know if you heard this or not, but our off-season volume is down 40 to 45%, and that's a pretty close number, or a pretty accurate number. So we can free up some resources, and I went through all that, but I did say that probably, the Memorial Day to Labor Day, the summer season, we foresee us probably having to staff and go to, each once a week. So that's probably what'll happen. We're trying to really closely assess this. We'll set up metrics, really look at what's working, what's not, and try to optimize everything that we're talking about. So yes, the answer to your question is we will critically look at that, and it's probably going to go that way.
All right, and I do think then that that's what everyone's talking about, is knowing the definites of this decision. So, you talked about having some more clarity about the chain of command, so to speak, but also, I guess, the full parameters of the decision in 3 to 4 days. But that actually coincides with the first day that this is supposed to be effective, right? That'd be Wednesday. So that goes back to the bigger conversation of potentially tabling this until we really do know what the parameters are, or at least defining the terms of an experiment, if that's what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I think that clarity is what the whole community is looking for right now. And then my final comment is really just going to be to again echo what Mr. McGuire said, which is, I think the exceptional work that our DPW team does do and our town, and it is constantly looking sharper than the rest of the towns. And so I just want to thank you. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Noreen. Louise?
Good evening, Louise Millman, 502 Park Place. First of all, I was unable to get into this meeting for a while, and with the thousands of people that live in the town of Bradley Beach, I was really very, very, very shocked to learn that only 100 people could attend this meeting. I don't know.
Louise.
Okay, so is that going to be rectified in the future is my question.
I heard from Kim that she said we had gotten a 300 person deal, but it apparently didn't kick in.
Again, but there are many more than 300 people who may or may not choose to come into a community meeting. And I think it's really important for us to have equal and total access 100% of the time.
No, I agree, Louise. And hopefully somebody made the question before or raised the question before. We're hoping to get away from Zoom, hopefully by the end of February. But having said that, with this pandemic, we might be in and out of it. So we'll look at, how we can max out Zoom but do it in a cost-effective way. But
okay,
good point.
Thank you very much for that. And second of all, I'm not only a part-time resident, I used to be a part-time resident, I'm now a full-time resident and I've retired here. And I really do like the services as they are. Public Works does an excellent job each and every day. They're very, very friendly people. They're great. And they always do a really terrific job. And I think what we have is appropriate for what we need in the town. I had written to you in the summertime, requesting a few more days of brush cleanup and never heard anything. And now I'm learning that the recycling is now going to be cut back. And, I think that the residents need a forum and a chance to speak and to let you know what we need. And it's not a lot. We're not asking for marble, statues at the beach. We're looking to just, keep our properties really clean. And we live in really small lots. A lot of us are in very tiny little places. So asking us to keep, several weeks worth of recyclables and brush and things like that. I mean, I think we need a little bit more as opposed to less. That's my opinion. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Louise. Appreciate it.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, we had one more ad. It's GCF's iPhone.
Okay, but that's fine. We'll cut it off at that, Tim. Thanks. But we had one, not after Louise, we have Kim Baker.
Kim seems to have dropped off.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So
go ahead, GCF.
Hi, thank you very much. This is Leslie Fehrenbach. I agree with the concerns about the communication issues, but that aside, would also like to ask that the town should just pause for a bit and reconsider this decision. I think that we pay enough in taxes that we shouldn't have to pay for bulk. Feel pretty strongly about that. I think we could do a trial period or a trial year on this change in recycling. I've been a homeowner here for many years, but just recently retired here full-time from East Brunswick. I can tell you when they changed from weekly recycling pickup to every other week, people were really up in arms, but everybody got used to it. However, the town did provide for extra containers at no charge, so that if you needed an extra container because it was every other week, then you could have one. I do agree with the woman who spoke before me that we do have small lots. Not everyone has garages, like you might have in a place like East Brunswick. So there is a concern about just vermin and bugs if you're keeping things for 2 weeks rather than a week, having them be picked up. So understanding that everyone is, not everyone, but some people are resistant to change, I think it might be a good idea just to take a pause, consider the suggestions that have been made here, and get back to the community with your recommendations on this. Lastly, I would just like to say that I'm really happy to see that there'll be recycling for film. I have not done that before, but I have been amazed now that I am saving it up, how quickly that accumulates. And I think someone else recommended also that it may need to be picked up possibly a little bit more frequently than what is on the schedule. And in closing, would just like to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak and hear the comments of my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. I grew up in Milltown, so I know East Brunswick very well. Thank you. Okay, we're at 8:53, so I want to thank everybody for their input. It was very valuable. We'll continue to assess this, and you know, we'll keep everybody updated via the website and our Facebook pages. Thank you, everybody, for your inputs, and have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Thank you.
Don't reelect these people.
Voting is important.